The Chinese Civil War stands as one of the most pivotal and dramatic conflicts of the 20th century. Spanning decades, it wasn't just a war over territory. It was a battle for the soul of a nation. At the heart of it were two titanic forces, each driven by the conviction that their vision was the true path for China's future. To understand the war, we have to rewind to the early 20th century. By the 1910s, the fall of the Qing dynasty had left China deeply fragmented. Regional warlords controlled large swaths of territory, while the central government in Beijing wrestled with instability. Amid this chaos, two political movements began to rise: the Chinese Nationalist Party, or Kuomintang KMT, and the Communist Party of China, CPC. What started as uneasy allies by necessity would soon become sworn enemies. The seeds of conflict were sown in the late 1920s. Initially, the KMT and CPC worked together under a fragile alliance to unify China and defeat the warlords. But differing ideologies, nationalist republicanism versus Marxist-Leninist communism, would tear them apart. By 1927, nationalist leader Chiang Kai-shek launched a crackdown on communists in what became known as the Shanghai Massacre, a bloody purge that splintered the alliance and signaled the beginning of open hostilities. The conflict simmered through the 1930s, with the two sides vying for control over rural and urban areas. The communists, under Mao Zedong, retreated into the countryside, embarking on the legendary Long March, a grueling year-long trek that saw the Red Army travel over 6,000 miles to evade KMT forces. Though a strategic withdrawal, it galvanized the communists and allowed Mao to consolidate his leadership. A temporary truce was forced upon the warring sides during the Second Sino-Japanese War from 1937 to 1945, as Imperial Japan invaded China. The KMT and CPC, under immense international pressure, agreed to focus on the external threat. Yet even during this time, distrust and small-scale skirmishes never fully ceased. When World War II ended, the stage was set for the Chinese Civil War's climax. The power vacuum left by Japan's retreat threw China into further chaos. Armed and bolstered by their wartime experiences, both the KMT and CPC quickly maneuvered to claim control. In 1946, the war reignited in full force. The KMT, with its superior numbers, international recognition, and support from the United States, initially held key urban and industrial centers. But the Communists, relying on guerrilla tactics, grassroots support from the peasantry, and Soviet assistance in the Northeast, began to turn the tide. They adopted a strategy of encircling cities and isolating nationalist strongholds, eventually capturing Nanjing and Beijing. By 1949, the Communist Party had decisively emerged victorious. Chairman Mao Zedong declared the establishment of the People's Republic of China on October 1st. Meanwhile, Chiang Kai-shek and the remaining KMT forces retreated to the island of Taiwan, where they established a rival government still in place today. The Chinese Civil War reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century. The communist victory set the stage for China's role in the Cold War and its transformation into the global power it is today. The war's divisions, however, have never truly healed. Tensions across the Taiwan Strait continue to echo the ideological and political rift that began nearly a century ago. This was more than a struggle for power. It was a battle to define what China would become. And in its aftermath, the scars of war remain indelible, shaping the nation's identity to this day.